Skywest property. And I guess this is where the email that we received today would be placed under. Okay, Doug, is this you?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So next slide, please. Another one. And we can go right into the very next one. There we go. Thank you. First of all, the location of Skywest property. It was the site, of course, of the former Skywest golf course and is located on airport property. The former golf course is noted on this map in light orange, but emphasize that the red line around the outside is the limits of airport property. The former Skywest golf course totals 126 acres. Next, please. Construction on the Skywest golf course was completed in 1963. The property was leased to Hayward Area Recreation and Parks District, or HARD, in 1975. And after 45 years, HARD discontinued operations at the airport on September 30th of last year. And we're now looking to repurpose the property for the benefit of the community and the city. Next, please. Maintenance of the airport was determined earlier this year. HARD agreed to maintain the property, and the airport funds the work. List of services provided include field cut of vegetation on the main golf course, weed removal, and tree maintenance and removal. Next, please. The overarching goal of the reuse plan is to develop the property that benefits the city and the community as well. Next, please. Conceptual plan was developed last year that divided the property into 4 uses. This was from staff only, conceptually only. Recreational uses, as you see, it's over to the far right in pink, adjacent to Kennedy Park. Then a walking trail that is on the borderline between our property and San Lorenzo. It's in a magenta color, runs along the border. A new small hangar development area, which is in blue next to the recreational development. Then in green in the middle off the ends of the runways is the runway safety area that we want to preserve. And then finally, approximately 50 acres all the way to the left for an office or industrial park. Next, please. Regarding our plan and schedule, a request for proposals was sent out to qualified consultants in April. Kimley Horn was selected in May to develop the reuse plan. A kickoff meeting was held between airport staff and Kimley Horn on June 1st to discuss project scope. A total of 3 workshops will be held over the next 30 to 40 days. The initial workshop, which will be held on July 27th, will allow for feedback from the community as to how the property should be utilized. 2 more workshops will be held, one on August 10th and one on August 12th, to receive additional input. Upon conclusion of the meetings, Kimley Horn will develop a summary report that will outline the various development options. Final meeting between staff and Kimley Horn will occur in August. A rendering and findings will be presented to CAC at a special meeting in September. And upon review and approval, presumed approval by CAC, the final draft of the site plan will be discussed by council in October during a work session. Next, please. That concludes my report. To provide public comments, click the raise hand button. To request to speak when the staff liaison calls for public comments, you'll be permitted to speak for 3 minutes. When joining by phone, click *9 to raise a hand to speak and press *6 to unmute. Please be mindful that virtual meetings are public and will be recorded. That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. A good report and a good announcement. Do we have any public comments? Anyone interested in public comments out there? No? Amy, Pam, nothing? All right, then Sorry. We'll go to questions and or comments. Mayor, questions, comments on this?
You know, we did receive that letter. I don't know if it's our protocol to, you know, discuss what the person who sent the letter, I don't suppose they're here wanting, but can we refer to that if we, in our.
Yes, by all means.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mayor, if I may, the comments were very good, and the short version, because I know time is of the essence, it regarded the use for recreational use, a couple of items for our consideration. I believe a dog park was one of them,
Yes,
and perhaps a community garden was the other.
Yes.
right.
So that was the essence of the comments, and that is available for you to review and take a look at later.
Yes,
And-
and I think that, I'll just say, I think the plan is a good one. Although I just do wonder, all the public input meetings have been, and apparently there's already been one, and there are two more, there are two scheduled for July and one in August. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't have a public meeting after Labor Day when more people are back and around. I mean, I know that I know that may put off the whole timetable, but, and I guess there'll be opportunity once we have a plan to vet with the public. But that was just something I had thought. And then the other thing was, that, I don't know, I have somebody visiting right now who is a fan of disc golf, which I had not really heard of, but apparently it's a thing like golf with frisbees. And it just struck me, I don't know if there's room for something like that. I'm not sure even how much room you need for something like that, but it was suggested that we might want to. I mean, I was just thinking of the tie-in to the golf course that had been at Skywest, that disc golf might be a fun thing, but I have a feeling that might require more land than we're planning to make available for recreational use, but I'm not sure of that. So I'll just throw that out there.
Good ideas.
There is a public comment. There's a couple of them so far.
Public comments, Pamela? All right. Go ahead.
So I have Galen. Galen, I'm going to unmute you. You'll have to unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if there are limitations to the office building space, and also to, I think you said airport hangars. Are there height limitations that you're going to put? Because it sounds like there'll be a walking trail in between the properties, but that's not much space to have an office space backed up to your unit.
Well, the answer to the question is that there are restrictions from the Federal Aviation Administration because of the proximity of the runways. Without getting too much into detail, there's something called Part 77, which restricts the height of buildings and other objects. So I would anticipate that anything that's built in any of these sections, my belief is that they would be no more than 1 story in height because of those height restrictions placed by the FAA.
Okay, and then the second question, or actually it's just a comment to echo what the mayor was saying about possibly utilizing, it was a golf course. Has anyone looked into possibly having a top golf or something of this sort, so that you can, possibly use that land for the purpose of something golf related?
Well, we're going to look at and welcome any and all comments that we receive, for regardless of what they are, for what the community feels would be a good use.
Absolutely.
I would comment that the original golf course that was there for these decades was losing quite a bit of money. So, whatever the use would be, it would have to make financial sense as well. But right now, we're just open to any and all comments, and we appreciate your comments today.
Absolutely.
We sure do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela, anyone else, Pamela?
Yes, the next one I have is Ali Lee Ting. I'm going to unmute you. You're going to have to unmute yourself as well.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm one of these homeowner at Skywest Golf Course, the townhouse, and my unit just happens to be right on the property line of Skywest Golf Course and Skywest townhouse. Now, when you were talking about putting a walkway, which is the preparation agenda line that you have, I would like to think that is some sort of, what's the right word? Some sort of security measure, because I don't know, have you all seen those property? Our door literally is open to the golf course. So if you put a walkway right there, which would be a public walkway, then means anybody can be walking up and down our Skywest townhouse property. And that brings some concern to me, because that means anybody can just walk into our front door. Unlike the houses in the, I think you guys call it the village, because they actually have fences, right? They all have fences, so you can't just hop over. Whereas for Skywest, if you ever had the opportunity to look at our property line, it is just a retaining wall. And part of the retaining wall toward the front is literally only like 2 feet to 3 feet. Mine is probably maybe 4.5 feet, 5 feet at max of the retaining wall. And so that is so easily for anybody to hop over. So I would like for the council to take into consideration that if there's anything of this sort that is built there, to consider the security measure. How do we not have just any Tom, Dick, and Harry just hop over the fence? That's my comment. I mean, I like the idea of having recreational area to maintain open land and, you know, to keep our wildlife going. As you probably know, there's a lot of birds and geese and ducks, and we want to maintain that. You know, bad enough our world is just deteriorating without any nature, and we would like to keep open space, and having any kind of open space for like you say, a community park, a dog park, a recreational park is much more welcome in my humble eyes than another building.
Yeah.
Right. And so if the building is built, how far of a distance between Skywest townhouses and the building is another question. Is are they like butt towards each other? That would mean I'm looking right into somebody's office building now. How does that?
Yeah.
So we will consider, we will look into the fence ideas. We want to make sure that there is public safety for everybody. So thank you for the comments.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Pamela, anyone else?
We have one more, James Swanson. I'm going to unmute you. You'll have to unmute yourself as well.
Yes, thank you. Our concerns were somewhat addressed there, but we are in the area. We're 28 right departure turning zone, and it looks like you guys would be putting hangars in there, and that's okay. But our main concern was also that the walkway would be right behind our house, and the homeowners have we have various levels of fences. Some further towards the bay from us have just even, it's like a 4-foot wooden fence or such. Ours is a chain link. But I would be concerned also on the security issue, if you could add our voice to hers on that matter. We also have from our fence, there's kind of like a ditch, and it goes maybe about 10, 15 feet behind is the actual golf course path. And I would be wondering, I assume obviously around any sort of airport property like hangars, there would be some kind of a security fence. But I would also be interested on knowing what you guys, if you guys would supplement the fences. Would it be like what kind of material, things like that? Because I would be concerned also as a homeowner about when it was a golf course, there wasn't much going on. But if it becomes a known public walkway, we may have a lot more users, and I would be concerned about security also.
Yes, and if you have an opportunity, make sure you participate in the community meetings. So that,
exactly.
Yes, so that will be very important.
Exactly.
And thank you very much for the comments, and we'll take it into consideration. All right, Pamela, anyone else?
Nope, there's no one else at this time.
All right. I don't know if the mayor was finished making her comments. Anything else, Mayor? And you are mute.
Yeah, those were basically my comments, and I just will go back to, I mentioned disc golf, but yeah, some nod to the former golf, that it was a golf course would be nice. And I would concur that security and working with the Skywest home owners, as well when we
Definitely.
get through this process. And I would encourage all of them to, continue to follow it and, come to the public meetings.
Yes, of course. Colleague Salinas, any comments or questions, please?
Yeah, I have a few. The first couple questions are about process, and so let me ask this: the firm that we've contracted with, they are going to hold a series of meetings with the neighborhood or with stakeholders and community members to do what? What's their task?
To receive input from the community on the uses that could be made of the property.
And those could be ideas like either recreational, they could be commercial, they could be, they could be anything, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And then those sessions are there's gonna be 3 of them, and they're gonna happen in the next, 6 months or so, correct?
Well, actually, over the summer here, we're going to have one yet in July and then 2 in August.
Okay, good. So I just want to make sure that we get ample, ample outreach and make sure we, get as many community people, and while I have a great deal of respect for our neighbors over in San Lorenzo, and while they are big stakeholders in this, because their property lines are right along that line, but I also want us to really outreach and really get a lot of input from Hayward residents, because we're what I don't want is not to sound crass, but I don't want Hayward residents not be represented and then yet the direction get determined by people who don't live in Hayward. And so I just want to be clear about that.
Council member, if you give me just a minute, let me call on Pam. She's been working with the consultant on the outreach portion and also with our PIO and our staff at City Hall. And I know we're doing a number of things, but Pam, could you speak to the postcards and the online just for a moment, please?
Sure. Yeah. So Kimley Horn has developed a map, and it varies on shapes and sizes depending on the neighborhoods. But a postcard will go out to Hayward community members that live directly next to the airport. They'll get a physical postcard in the mail where information to join these online meetings and then contribute electronically through their website. Towards the end of this meeting, I can put up the link to the website so that if anybody wants to take it down, we can do that at the end. And so a lot of this is going to be driven towards that website. All the input is going to be included in there, the maps, and it can be flooded with whatever. And then they'll take all that information, package it up, and come up with some possible options before we go out and look for an RFP.
Yeah, and and I don't know. Let me just say this. It makes sense in my head, but once I say it out loud, it may not make sense, but let me just say it. What if, I would even be willing to, partner with Hard, and maybe Hard can put it out on their channels. Because if we're talking about recreational space, and I did see, I believe Ms. Diaz is on the call here. I would be interested to see, Hard stakeholders, give us input, because I agree with, with Miss, I believe it was Ms. Ting about, doing as much as we can to preserve, open space, and doing whatever we can to, preserve, the habitat, the flora, fauna, and, the animals that, birds that fly in and fly out of there. Not only the birds with engines, but the birds with, I said that one for Doug, but, birds that fly in and out of there. And so, preserving that. So, but so I agree with Ms. Ting on that. and I'm sure the rest of the HOA along that borderline. But anyways, my point is, you know, I would also consider inviting the hard network in some of these, because, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I believe Hayward area is the sort of the largest swath of land within the hard district, I believe. So, you know, so the other question I had was, you know, I read that letter, and I believe the mayor has to leave, correct?
All right, sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
yes,
no.
I do have to leave. So, but sorry about that.
That's okay. Good luck. So I read the letter, and the letter is, I thought it was good. You know, I really like the dog park idea. If not just temporarily, you know, that might be a good, you know, temporary, you know, thing to do in that space. And just a heads up, I'm glad that the dog park, or I'm glad that the overwhelming amount of space there is grass and, you know, natural land. Not to hate on our neighbors down south, but the dog park in Fremont next to City Hall, it's not that good. I mean, it's nice, it's big, but it's all concrete, and it's just got, you know, fake grass on top. So I was over there a few weeks ago on one of those hot days that, you know, we had. And you know, when concrete is hot, as you know, the temperature is, you know, exponentially hotter, especially on concrete. So anyways, I just want us to be careful on if we consider a dog park over there, to really make sure that it remains on grass, and that we keep it up. The dog park over by Councilmember Cermeño's house over on Sleepy Hollow is really good. One side where the big dogs are, you know, it's a little bit more muddier, but where the smaller dogs are, it's a lot more greener. But you know, I think having green grass, I think, is a added value. But a dog park would be really good with as many different accoutrements, you know, around there. So the other idea, the other thing that I've been thinking about, because of course I have friends that are, you know, avid golfers, and I guess it's, you know, it's this whole concept of, you know, of golf. So is golf dead? Is golf dead in that space now? And, you know, even they brought an idea to me about hiring you know, contracting with a company that just does one thing, and that's, you know, golf. You know, hiring a private company to go in there and you know, and do that. I mean, is that something that the consultants can sort of think about?
Sure, they can look at that. I would make a comment that I understand Hard was losing $1.2 million a year. That was one of their decision points. The other thing would be, since the revenue from this parcel goes to the airport, within reason, it would be great to maximize the amount of revenue. And I think that's where that office park and warehouse park idea came from, which would generate probably between $1 and $2 million a year in revenue.
Yeah.
But
Well,
at this point, we're open to anything and everything.
yeah. And so anyways, I think those are, and lastly, let me just make this last point is, you know, with Mr. Swanson and Ms. Ting, you know, the security issues, you know, particularly now, because I know it's closed, but, you know, we really want to make sure that, you know, we make sure it's still a safe place, and particularly for the fence neighbors, and I'm sure the consultants will flush this out as we move forward. But you know, whatever we do, we don't want to do it at the expense of security, and I know you guys are thinking about that, so I just appreciate that. Other than that, those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of ideas. Doggy park is a good one. As a matter of fact, I was the one who requested hard putting a doggy park next to our house, and they did. So it works very well. When the consultant comes on board, I think it would be tremendous if you could let them know that they ought to seek input from the Hayward Youth Commission. Then, as you know, we are an educational community, and I think it'd be good for them to also approach the student government at Chabot and at Cal State, just to gauge what our older teenagers have in mind, would want to see there. And then also HUSD, because they could also be instrumental. What exactly does our youth want? Everybody, we keep hearing more youth activities. So that may go help us out in finding out what some of those youth activities are. And I know one of them is a mini golf course, which in my mind would complement Kennedy Park. So you're at Kennedy Park, you ride the train, you visit the animals and anything, then you cross the road and you're possibly mini golfing. Don't know exactly what, how much acreage a mini golf course takes up, but I certainly would want our youngsters to spend that money in Hayward and not in Castro Valley, which is where they go over to mini golf. Yes, and then, yeah, colleague Salinas is correct. We should also talk to HARD and see if they have any other ideas. Golf may be dead at that particular area, so that's okay. But I do like the idea of the 4 usages. And if there's any way to ensure a safety corridor through that walking
Trail.
That walking trail certainly would be great. It's a safety not only for our folks, but for the walkers and for the people at that who live there. And those are my comments. Please keep us in the loop as to what is being proposed. And we will talk about it some more on September the 23rd. Anything else on this? No,
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So that means we can go